Hey, what's going on, guys? This is going to be my review for the Star Wars Rogue One 1/12 scale K-2SO model kit, and it's going to be a relatively quick one because this is a pretty relatively simple model kit, although it is really nice. There's not really a whole lot to it. It went together pretty quickly, and if you guys saw in the unboxing, it's really just two runners. And there's a lot of parts on the runners, but it's basically just kind of a lot of little detail parts, things like that. It's not really the most complicated kit. Basically what you see here is pretty much what you get, and that's pretty much it. So there are some stickers and water slides you get with it as well. You do have some option parts for the hands, an option part for the stand, and that's pretty much it. So don't really expect a whole lot of stuff in the box, but it does make for a really cool model kit, and I would think a really cool, unique design, as K-2SO is as a kind of robot design from the movie. So I think that it's everything that you would expect. You wouldn't expect this to come with like a whole bunch of like weird accessories or something like that. It did, I guess. He did use a gun for a while in the movie. Kind of would have been cool for that to have been included. But considering this is going to cost you about the same amount as a real grade Gunpla kit, in comparison you might find it a little bit lacking. But again, basically what you're getting with this kit is just a lot more in the way of really fine small little details and things like that. The kind of really small details that you normally don't see on Gunpla kits all that often, except maybe kind of on real grade kits. A couple other things that you should probably remember when it comes to the cost of these Star Wars kits is that, number one, Bandai Namco owns Gundam, so they don't really have to pay for a license for that, whereas with Star Wars, there is a licensing agreement there that they're in with Lucasfilms and Disney, of course. And then there's also the matter of the sheer volume of production. Bandai just doesn't produce the volume that they do of Gunpla kits, where with Gunpla kits they produce a lot more of them so they can afford to sell them for a little bit cheaper because they'll just sell them in sheer bulk, whereas with these Star Wars kits they're not producing them in as higher numbers, so they have to get back more money from fewer kits. But again, I think from my limited experience so far, the amount of detail and engineering that is in these Star Wars kits does definitely make the price worth it. They are really, really nice kits from my experience of just building a couple of them so far. And speaking of which, I do need to give a moment to shout out to USA Gundam Store for supplying me with this kit to review and enjoy and share with you guys. So thank you to them. They're awesome. Check out the link to their store down below. Use my coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, to save yourself 10%. And let's get on with talking about what else comes with this kit. Now, as I mentioned, it does come with some stickers and water slide decals. The water slide decals and stickers are exactly the same. The water slides are, of course, going to be of better quality if you can manage using those. The stickers, not so much. I found out with my experience building the ship models that these don't really go on very well. I think some of these, probably like these like logos here for the shoulder, will probably go on fine, but some of the ones that go over like actual molded detail, I just wouldn't really bother with that. I would just go ahead and just paint those if you can. But some of these probably could have been used. I just didn't really bother with it. I may try to use some of the water slides for the painted build, but maybe even not too many of those. Maybe a couple, possibly, but I don't know. We'll see. And as I mentioned, our only other option parts for the kit is just these open hands, which you can swap for a set of closed fist fingers. So you just will swap the fingers like you would with a lot of master grade kits like that. And you just swap to these, and they're just fingers that are curled up to look like closed fists. And then there's the base, which is quite interesting, how we have this little part here, as you can see with this section, that's just formed in a special way to fit the foot, and I find this works very well. But if you didn't want to use that, you do also have a different option. The kit should stand on its own, I should say. It will take a little bit of a balancing act just because it's very thin lower legs there. But if you pop this part out and flip it around, you'll notice there is a little small circular connection there. We can then take this long piece here and plug that into there, and then this will plug onto the back of K-2SO. You'll just remove this panel on his lower back there, and you can see there's a spot where you can just plug this straight into there. So if you wanted to use that, I'm not really sure why you maybe would, what really the advantage would be of that. Considering he's so top heavy, he just kind of like, this whole thing just kind of leans forward, so you have to kind of put his legs forward, but then it just kind of looks like he's like hunched over too much, so you have to kind of straighten up his back, and just the angle of that just looks kind of odd. So I think this part is just not really useful. I think you're much better just using the foot side. Let's talk for a moment about the details and articulation here. The head will move up and down. There's a ball joint at the base of the neck and the ball joint at where it connects to the head. So it can move up and down a little bit there, and then at the base a little bit back and forth there. You can of course rotate that as well. You have a nice clear part in there for his eyes, so it's not really going to be all that noticeable unless you catch the light that it's actually clear, but it is there. As you can see in the torso, we have a nice forward and back bend here. Can also rock side to side here quite nicely as well, so pretty nice articulation there. Although it doesn't really allow for a whole lot of movement, there is a double ball joint here in the shoulder, so you can actually move the shoulders around a little bit like so. This armor bit on the side of the shoulder is kind of on a separate hinge, so that can move out of the way for you to be able to move the arm up to about here. Seems to be about the maximum, so not very high, almost 90 degrees, and that's going to be about it. One kind of interesting thing that I'm not really too sure why they did this, maybe you guys can let me know if you know what the story is with this, but in the knee and elbow joints they have these clear parts inside there, so I don't really know what that's about, but it's kind of interesting that they have those inside there. We have some rotation here for the arm at kind of the just above the elbow, and then the elbow will rotate just about 90 degrees there. That's about it. And then at the wrist there's a joint back and forth like this, rotation here. The thumb is on a ball joint, and then the fingers are just fixed there, but as I said, you can swap the fingers there if you want. I wonder if maybe those are clear parts in there because it's supposed to be just hollow, but they couldn't really make it solid enough if that was just a hollow piece. Because like in the wrist joint here, it's just hollow. There's just an empty gap there in the middle of the wrist joint. So maybe that's the explanation for the clear parts. Anyway, here in the hips, it's just like with the shoulders. It's on a double ball joint, so you can get a little bit of movement and rotation out of that. The legs can spread to about there, not too far, but they can move forward and all the way around as much as you'd like, no problems there. Just like with the arms, we have rotation just above the joint, and then about 90-degree bend there at the knee. And then just like with the wrist, we have a full range of movement here at the ankles, back and forth, side to side. You can rotate the feet side to side there, so you should be able to get a pretty wide stance, but the legs don't really go that wide, so you probably won't need that much. And you can also bend the toe a little bit there, so that's pretty cool. So if you guys were wondering about the size of this, here it is compared to a 1/100 scale Master Grade Gundam kit, and as you can see, it's actually taller than that, so it's going to be pretty tall. It's a pretty good size, although it's just, again, it's very slim, very lanky. It's not really going to be a whole lot of parts in that. It's not going to be very bulky by any means, but it is pretty tall, so it's definitely enough room for you to work on that. It's not having like really super small parts on that. There are some really small parts on it for sure, but it's definitely larger than like Bandai's Star Wars vehicle model series or anything like that. So anyway, cool kit. I quite like it. I think if you're a fan of the design, you were looking for something different, something a little bit more unique, then this is definitely a good option to go for. I hope this review has been helpful for you guys. If you do still have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave those down below if there's something that I missed or anything like that. And again, if there's any other particular Star Wars kits that you guys would like to see me check out and review for you guys, let me know in the comments down below and I'll try to consider that. As always guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Hey! Thanks for watching guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store, use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10, save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching guys. See you next time. Bye bye.